Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is cool. I like the layout. We've got the two ladies on the right-hand screen, the two gentlemen on the left-hand screen. And
Scream. I scream, you scream. We all scream for ice cream.
yeah, I've been spending 2 beautiful weeks with my granddaughters, and yeah, screaming and ice cream have been part of the Maloo. That's a good word, Maloo.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Maloo. Yeah. That which glues us together. And you know what? When I saw this topic, how to manage our personal energy to give us a life we truly love, wow, grandparenting has taught me a lot this week. And because I operate in a sacred space of peace, this has not been the absolute perfect place. And it's really helped me reevaluate what's important to me and to see not just in myself but to observe in the family atmosphere when the different bits and pieces of the clock are not working, because when those clock pieces get wound up tight and they snap, it takes a long time to recuperate.
Yeah.
Children don't have the ability to know when they're going to snap.
No, they don't know. They just let it all out. They just feel their feelings and move on. The adults are the ones that look like, what happened?
Yeah. And then they're playing again.
Yes, they're fine. They're over it.
They're friends. Yeah. They're best friends. I mean, the fact that they just teamed up on me, and my older granddaughter told my younger granddaughter to do something that she shouldn't. And then, and then they're right back to where they started. And we can learn so much from that because we get the indicators. We get that headache that might be telling us that our personal energy is depleted, or the migraine that tells us that it's drained. The physical body can tell us a lot. It really can. And then we can tap into the emotional body to try and figure out what's going on, both sides of the equation. And then the spiritual. And how do you explain what the spiritual body is? Any ideas, Kim?
My way of teaching it is it's your inner, I call it your inner whisper. In my world, we call it your inner genie. I call it the GPS system. Either it's the genie production system or the genie protection system, but it's the big G. So I explain it. It's the part of you that never lie to you, always tells you the truth, whether you're ready for it or not, and always tells you you got this. And when you learn how to listen to it and trust it, you end up having a lot less stress, because like you always want to be right, but most of the time the solution's to the left. And you hear it, but you don't believe it until you like try to put your head through the wall too many times. And as you sit down and try to catch your breath, you're like, oh, the door is to the left. Oh, okay. Like, you know something.
The door was always opened.
The door was always open, or the window was right there. But it's a journey, though. We were born with it. We're leaving with it. I think it behooves us to spend some time with it and, make it your CEO. I kind of feel like that part of us is like our American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
I like that. It's very important to tune in and tap in to that sacred space within you. You explained it beautifully. You truly did, because when we can befriend that part of us, that friend will always lead us, no matter what we identify it as. We don't need to.
Right. No, right. That's why I use the genie for a reason, because who's a recovering Catholic, who doesn't believe, but so it's just everyone. And I fell in love with Robin Williams like 30 years ago, Aladdin. And I was like, oh yeah, that's like, okay, that's it. So I always imagine, and for most of us, if you say, well, like, my husband's favorite phrase is, does God wear glasses? Have you met him? He always uses that as a phrase to get people. But that part of us is really like your grandchildren. I don't know how old your grandchildren are, but I imagine we're all 6 years old inside.
2 and 4, so 6.
2 and 4. There you go. Those are my little genies. So right. I always tell anybody who's upset or depressed, go watch children. Mm-hmm. Go watch I love the twos. Oh, terrible twos. Like, I tell all my family, oh, give me the twos. Like, you want the twos? I'm like, I love the twos. They're so full of self-esteem, and I love the little meltdowns, because that's them like getting comfortable with their feelings.
Yes.
And it's like, and then afterwards they're like, I'm done. I'm like, you done? Yeah. Okay. You ready to have some fun now? Yeah, I think so. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, when I first saw that as an adult, I was like, I didn't get that class. I didn't get that. Can I go? Can I sit in the back? Like, will they notice I'm a little bit bigger than the rest of the kids?
Yeah. Self-soothing. Children have the innate ability to self-soothe often. They do need guidance and support.
Yes, of course they do. But it's amazing how they just decide, they believe it, and then they do it. It's like you watch kids play. I don't know if kids do it now with all the technology, but I was like well into my teens. We were still playing Land of the Lost on the porch in my friend's bedroom. We would play the Partridge Family in my backyard. We were all the characters of Land of the Lost, and we all believe we were like the characters, and we fought over who was going to be Lori or this one or that one. But our imagination, I'm a Gen X, like you hear everyone on. Yeah, we were left out. Like, don't come home until it's dark, right? Play outside, go outside, do something with yourself, like play out in the street. Yeah, just don't get hit. You fell off your bike or you got hit. Now you're in big trouble.
Yeah, don't get hit by a car. We can't. And it was funny because all of those patterns that our parents gave us were from the best possible.
They only gave what they had.
Whatever they had.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Whatever they had. And then when you start combining families, you get two different pies.
Yes.
My guy's Italian. So he was told to play out in the street and avoid anything that could cause him harm. And he was given a list.
Yeah.
I came from a European German type.
Yes.
And I wasn't warned about things that could harm me so much. I was warned about things that would cost our family. You didn't go into you didn't let a cow out because that would cost us a lot of money.
Yes.
So it was
the European depression after the war. Yeah.
It was big. It was big. So when we tune in and tap into our personal energy as an adult, warning signs. Which warning signs? Adam, can you chime in? What warning signs do you get that you may not be managing your own personal energy?
Definitely, I think it's obviously for people that know me, that I've just recently come out and admitted I'm an alcoholic, but in recovery. And obviously, I remember one of your lives, Nancy, where you mentioned about recovery is energy, and obviously, I am now into that recovery stage, and the one I'm struggling with is the urges, because obviously my intentions, I don't want to drink. I'm not very interested in drinking, but the voices in my head are telling me different. So that's the constant battle I've got at the minute.
Yeah, the neurocognitive pathways that reach for what is comfortable.
Yeah, what's familiar.
Comfortable, what's familiar. And we either reach with our hands. It could be drinking, it could be smoking, it could be the phone, because the kinesthetics in our body are hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
Very hardwired. So when we can learn to create something else to wean ourselves from it, It's a weaning.
Yeah, well, it's a replace. It never goes away, but you could. I was always taught it's like Windows. Once the neural pathway's there, it's going to be there, but you can reduce it, put it in the background, and bring something else forward. But it takes a good 90 days, Adam. It takes a good 90 days to create that. From the time that you're aware that that's what it is, that's jerking your chain.
Yeah, well, I'm 110 now. I'm 110 days into it.
Good for you.
110.
That's a huge milestone.
Yeah. If it took Adam 40 days to build the ark.
Yeah. True.
I don't know how they measured time back then.
I don't know either. I don't know either.
Pretty out there. But it's patterning and it's changing. And as our bodies shift and change, as we age, sometimes what once was able to be sustained is no longer sustained. I know with me, I used to be able to have a very strong yoga practice. I was able to do Ashtanga yoga just like that. Now it's a slow, very slow hatha practice because my body has shifted and changed. I can no longer rest on my palms. So I have to rest on my bones. I have to use all sorts of props.
Yeah, I can relate to that, Nancy, with injuries. Yeah.
Pride will get in the way sometimes. Oh, I don't need to do that. Good old Nance, well, reality.
Yeah.
Reality.
Well, we think if we do it in a different way or we can't do it, then we're not doing it right. Mm-hmm. There's no right. It's just what works. But if you've grown up, it depends, right? Like if you've grown up in a very competitive household, or I was a dancer, so everything is like if they tell you to do 10, of course you do 20, right? Like more is always better. And it's fine when you're like, you're like a little supple, like tree, but willowy tree, 12, 20s. But then as you get older or worse, you get injured. That strategy doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So it's really, what I love about managing energy versus time versus a lot of other modalities is that when you know how to bring your energy, when you know how to self-regulate, let's say it that way. Yes. When you know how to self-regulate.
Oh my God.
You can do anything you want. It may not look the way you originally thought it should, but I find that life is easier, even when it's really hard. Like even when we have a lot going on. Yeah. It just time management. All of us have been educated either in therapy or business training or whatever, self-help books. I have found it all, and I read all of them. I used to spend my Saturdays in the library like with 20 books a weekend, just trying to figure it out. When I learned that you could train your brain and manage your energy, I was like, oh, I can do this. I can deal with this. I can deal with this. It just made life so much easier, even though life isn't always easy.
Well, it's constantly changing and shifting. One of the things that I have really been enjoying learning about is astrology. And I understand the microcosm of it and little bits of the macrocosm. And I'm working on understanding me. Mm-hmm. I'm not reading nobody's chart. I'm not telling you where.
You're not putting up your little shield saying like astrologist is in? No.
Okay. If you want your tarot cards read, you can call me. Okay. And I can recommend an amazing astrologer, right? Because I trying to do it all causes a catastrophe inside of my brain.
Yeah, well, because you know what I find, and I learned this the hard way. So, do you guys want to borrow my hard-earned wisdom? Your inner self, right? That inner spark. I call it your genie. Call it whatever you guys want. When I find my energy's low or I'm not chomping at the bit to like go get it, 9.99% of the time, because my higher self knows that's a no-win outcome. That's like not going to work. But my mind goes, but yeah, like, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here, like polish my nails, and like when you come back, I'll help you figure it out. But I ain't doing that. I've learned to trust that. Not it's simple, but it's not easy. Especially when everyone's telling you you're crazy because they don't hear what you hear, or they don't see what you see. But it has saved my backside and gotten me out of some major jams. That had I listened to the logical side of me, had I done what I was told like a good girl, I would not be happy. So yeah.
I really learned. I like playing with words, and I've learned the difference between being nice and being good.
Yeah.
And I can be good. I've gotten
Yeah.
really good at being good. I make good decisions.
Right. Yeah.
Choose good friends. And I'm honest. So that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to tell you what you want to hear. If you want to find someone that's nice and they're going to tell you what you want to hear,
Yeah.
question their intentions.
Yeah. I call being good girl like the obedient girl, because that's what I was. Yeah. Well,
that.
we ought to be well behaved, meaning don't show your feelings, right? Don't show any feelings. So that was a big thing. In Lovely Family, just like they thought feelings were cockroaches, and if they were present, they'd try to kill it. They didn't know it at the time. They loved you to death, but like you couldn't have an emotion they couldn't deal with. So we learned to be good, well behaved, and that meant stuffing our feelings, like pretending that we were okay when we weren't, or doing what we were told versus doing what we know to be right for us. Because I don't know, so like you're German, I'm Armenian. We almost got wiped out in 1915, right? And so from that point on, like we all became a unit. Everything became about the culture and us, and we all got to do one thing because, and that's how we grew up. We were not 15 people or 20. I have a really big, huge, like we're one. You try to manage, and it's like, God forbid you were the little duck that wanted to go like, that way. Like it was like for them being survivors of something traumatic, it was life and death. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah,
so you can't be that. You can't be that.
Yeah.
So that took a while to be like, okay, maybe there's another way.
Breaking patterns is not necessarily welcomed.
No. Especially, they always tell you, watch out. Like they tell you, I know I grew up with, no one will take care of you like your family. Don't trust anyone but your family. That was, don't get too close because they're not your family. What they didn't realize was, I didn't have to worry about them. The danger was my family. Right. That's like, you're loving me so much, I can't breathe, or you're trying to help me so much, I can't breathe. So yes, if you come from a traditional family, whatever your traditions are, or you come up, if your culture or your family has a hierarchy, like everyone follows the patriarch, the matriarch. In my family, being Armenian, was very matriarchal. There was a cost to speaking your truth.
It came up the backside of the head in my family.
Yeah. Oh, now they cheer me on and they're like, "Oh, what do we do, Kim?" But it was not always that way. It was not. It was. They wanted it. They wanted it for us. They didn't know how to give it to us.
Yes.
They wanted everything for us, and they didn't know. I remember. I was. In the 20s, I used to give my grandmother my mouth because I was like, I'm not living. But my later years, we had a very close relationship, but we had a completion of a 20-year-old conversation of where I told my grandmother the truth, but no one ever told Gracie the truth. And I was like, and then 20 years later, through the growth, through watching me go do what I wanted to do, and we completed it, and it was a lovely closure. And she said, because the thing was, I wanted to go to medical school. I had decided when I was 9 years old I was going to become a doctor. She came very much like your family, Nancy. Well, how are we going to pay for that? If we can't pay for that, you can't have that, or we can't do that. Yep. And I stood up and said, well, I didn't ask you to pay for it. I will figure it out. Mm-hmm. And she made the offer. She didn't deliver it in my 20s the way she explained it in my 40s. She's like, well, what if I paid for you to go to hairdressing school? And I thought of it was like, I heard it as like, she's telling me to forget this and go do that. We had a conversation, but 20 years later, watching me grow, watching me create a business from nothing and all that, and doing it anyway, she said, I didn't know if I had sent your uncles to college, they wouldn't have had to been drafted in the Vietnam War. I didn't know that. If I had understood that, I would have found the money. But in that day, you didn't have money, you didn't go to college, you went to work. Yeah. When you wanted to go do something, and I realized your parents didn't have it, we didn't have it, I figured, well, I could give you a trade so that you could put yourself through school and you could pay for it. And I said, great, Graham, you didn't say that 20 years ago, right? But I'm so grateful that you felt that way. And she supported me in a million other ways through that time. But it was really meaningful to take that journey with her and land with her, because she was the one that if she said it wasn't happening, it wasn't happening. That's it, discussion over. That we could have that conversation, and watching, her grandchildren buck this, break the cycle or buck the system. It got her to open up about her dreams and what she wanted to do and couldn't do. And it created a very wonderful tapestry, of a relationship with her. Her and my grandfather were probably my biggest mentors growing up. They were like the cool kids who just happened to be older and live more life than us. That's why I love your little ones have no idea. My relationships, Nancy, with my great grandmother, my grandmother's mother, and her and my grandfather were probably some of the most meaningful relationships in my life. So I love it when kids have great relationships with their grandparents.
Well, and I'm known as Sparkles.
See, there you go. Yeah. My mom was magical. Like my niece was like, oh, grandma's magical. She can do anything. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
Core relationships are so important. So important. My Oma loved gardening. And I remember when I started really tuning in and tapping into spirit, and the spirit would send me a smell.
Yes.
To help somebody understand who was in the house, right?
Yes.
Energy was
yeah.
And I'd be like, I smell a flower. And my clients would be like, which one? I'm like, don't know, right? So then I started investigating that more. And then that's where aromatherapy came in. And now I'm like, okay, name that tune. I've got it. Same with music and television and whatever language works for me. Personal energy is the same way.
Yeah. It's the easiest. Well, it's the easiest. It's universal. And it's so, and it's like anybody can do it.
Yes.
Anybody can do it. Like, I don't know if it's my age or getting concussed one too many times, but like more than 5 steps, I can't just like put it in my arm, put it in my head, like whatever, but it's got to be simple and it's got to be flexible, because I'm like, life changes over here like the wind. So I love it. Managing energy, I just think is the easiest thing to do. It's natural. It's like breathing. It's once you figure out how it works or how it works for you, it feels like it feels like as easy as breathing. It does. Yeah. I have not found anything. I mean, I'm not saying there are other tools, and if it works, but if you guys are struggling to figure out your way,
figure out your personal energy.
Yeah. Because, and then my way is like, just fill up on like without going into details, because Nancy and I could probably make your eyes cross with everything we know, is I just tell you, show up to fun. Show up to fun. You can figure anything out. You have to say, well, how much fun do I got to have before it clicks, or before like open the door to like inspirational download. And I've done that.
Whatever fun is for you, and your fun may be very different than my fun. Like for me, depends, and again, it changes with the wind.
Yeah.
It changes with the window of opportunity that's ahead
Yes.
of me. Some days it's going with a girlfriend, getting a pedicure, having lunch. Other days it's like just shutting the door on all of you,
Yeah.
opening up a book.
Yeah. Yeah. I highly recommend it's like, and just like, I'm sure you guys are the same way. If I will not ask you to do anything that I think is like, can get you jacked up or get you in trouble. Like anything I talk about outside of my coaching space,
Oh, for
you
sure.
can't get hurt. You can't, it's like you're in romper room, bounce off the walls. You'll be fine.
In the coaching space, it's different because with
because we're with it,
breakthrough,
right? We're with it. We're with them. Like we're holding you up. If you go sideways, it's like, okay, I have you.
we're going to be checking in.
Yeah,
all
right. There's a whole different thing. But honest to God, and I did it one time. I had a really big challenge, and trying to tackle it head on was not working. And I just was like, had it. And I said to my husband, I said, hon, I'm sitting on, we had a beautiful glass all season room. I loved it there. My grandmother came to visit. We had so many great conversations, but I said, I'm laying on the couch and I'm reading, and I'm not getting off the couch until the big G speaks to me. Cause I'm like, I can't. He's like, okay. I thought it was going to be this big conversation. What do you mean? Like, cause I was the main income driver. He's like, okay. I'm like, did you hear me? He's like, I heard you. I'm like, well, I don't care. Like, what happens if we have to put the cat in the car? And like, he's like, it'll be fine. Do it. I literally lay there every morning, through the day, reading. I think I read like 3 books a day. I can read that. But I went all over the world, different planets, everything in the book. And then finally one day, I was like, 3 days is usually my limit, but I just didn't trust it. And then one day it was like, okay, I can't have one more minute of fun. I am so full. I got to go do something. Like, I just got to get off this couch. And just something told me it's like, and I didn't even have to figure it out. I just started doing what it was that I needed to do. It within 3 days, created everything. And I was just like, why did I wait so long? Like, 2 weeks.
Oh,
a lot. My take was really low. But I just, when that happened, I was like, never again am I not going to trust my energy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's where you get to follow your senses instead of making sense of everything. Because you can't make sense of everything. That's impossible. You can't figure it out. I mean, there's a reason why Stephen King wrote a book called It.
Yes. Is that why he wrote It? Is that what that was?
That's how I see
okay,
it.
that's fine. Yeah. No, Stephen King. My mind is like Stephen King. It can write like Stephen King, like the apocalypse.
Pennywise.
Yeah.
Because our senses tell us so much. So Adam, when you're going through your recovery with the alcohol addiction, because every addiction's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Have you found something to do with your hands yet?
Not yet.
Are you drawing more?
I'm not, no. I'm socializing more though.
Good.
Yeah, I'm
Socializing
socializing at
self-care,
these
man.
meetings. Because I go to 2 meetings a week now.
Oh, what an awesome opportunity to network.
Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely a good network.
Listening to other people. We don't have to go to a networking event and shake everybody's hand and hand out our business cards. We can simply go to listen and take a break from whatever it is that we need to take a break from.
Yes. And I do that. I do that twice a week, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's filling the tank, right? And when you fill the tank, it helps you manage.
And connection when you're going through something like that, addiction or grieving. Being with people. People that you feel good with, that like-minded, is always good.
Oh my gosh, when you go through the addiction and the grief, or the two at the same time, finding support groups that are outside of your normal is so helpful, because people are going to try and do what they always do with grief. They're going to try to console you.
Or tell you it's time to move on.
Oh, it's time to move on.
It's time to move on now.
Here's a Kleenex.
It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. Or they try to fix you.
Or they suggest you buy a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But after time, that doesn't work.
No, because then the damn
No.
puppy grows up and it starts eating all your stuff and peeing on the floor. My son's got 2 dogs, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
I love them, and I enjoy the presence of the companionship. My one son's dog cuddles with me at night when I'm sleeping because I miss my guy. So Biggie's, my guy, you know, temporarily. One more sleep and I'm going home. You know,
Aw.
so, and that's nice. It's nice to be able to have a home that I'm so excited to go home to. It wasn't always like that. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Because the home is
Yeah.
a representation of your personal energy. If you're wondering if your personal energy is in alignment, look at your home.
Yeah. And I actually did say that when we're on Wednesday, that AA meeting is my home. I actually said
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
That's how I
Yes.
see it.
Yeah, that's good, Adam. That's a good sign where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
Because in the
Oh, yeah,
beginning,
well,
the
obviously,
12 steps
I've got
work.
a
Yeah.
sponsor now. Yeah, well, I've got a sponsor that's helping me through these 12 steps. And, well, obviously, there is 12 steps, but once you read the AA book, which I've got, you'll notice there's 13. And he said to me just the other day, from the stage you're at compared to others, you're actually ahead of them. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, well, you know what? I come from a family who've had
So,
addiction issues. Just because you're not partaking actively in the substance or the vice that helped you cope with whatever you didn't know how to cope with doesn't mean you're out of the addiction. And people don't understand that.
no, I know that. I know.
Yeah. So the fact that
Yes.
if your sponsor is saying that you're grasping the intentions of the steps, that means that's the beautiful thing about that program. People don't sugarcoat shit in that room.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Oh,
They
no,
don't.
They don't.
No.
No, they
No.
don't.
And
No, I picked up on that.
yeah. So if they see it, what's nice about that community is they're mirroring because when you've been depressed, if you've suffered from a depression or a break, any kind of stuff, you don't, when I had an assault which created a huge depression. I couldn't get out of bed, and I checked myself in and didn't come out for 6 months of a hospital. So and that process of helping me also leaves you feeling very vulnerable. And I came out of it like not trusting myself, even though like my coping skills were pretty stellar and like really like impressed everybody. But I didn't trust myself. So it became a journey of learning to find that footing. And one of the things that I appreciated while I was there is I had people I actually trusted to tell me if I was where I was, because sometimes everything felt like a blind spot. And so to have a community that you can trust and that is taking the journey with you, and if they tell you you're good, you're good. And if they tell you like you're out of whack and you think you're flying high, you trust them enough to look down and realize your feet aren't on the ground.
Yeah, they are amazing. They are amazing. The groups, the 12-step groups are absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I remember because obviously I got Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I remember this first Tuesday, I went, my anxiety was really to the roof, and I was thinking, what the hell is going on happen? So obviously my intentions were going in, get judged, get bullied, get more isolated. That was my intentions.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
well, more expectations, but as soon as I went in there was a room about 20 other people in there, and I actually made them laugh with what I was saying, because I was like, what did I say? I said that I used to be judged, feel isolated and bullied, and now I've got all this support. I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on here? And now I'm suddenly making all these people laugh. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But then I start getting
what do I do with this? Like, what do I do with this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I soaked it all in, and now I feel this warm connection, and I'm getting on with them. I've got a few more contacts.
Comfortable discomfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comfortable
Exactly.
discomfort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they never tell you is like everyone wants to get to success, but the first time I really learned all this, like managing energy and changing your mindset and like really experiencing abundance, like you're describing, like way different than what you know. I said to my coach, I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I know how to survive like a dinosaur. This abundance shit is scary. I don't have the skill set for this. And he was like, you will.
Yeah. You will.
But it's
You will.
but no one tells you success is scarier than surviving. Everyone sells it like it's the holy grail, and it is, but no one tells you it's gonna freak you out in the beginning.
Well, because once you reach one level of success and you attain that, you enter that space again where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, now what?
Well, when you find out your survivor skills don't work there, that was
Yeah.
the first
No.
lesson. And then tell me if you guys have experienced this, where you finally, you know, that in the journey, the hero's journey that you're on, you finally like it's the last big fear. It's like you've been working up and working up and working up, and now it's like the title fight, and you walk through that fear. I remember that when I started my business, I had to do something really scary, and that was like big, but I did it. And I thought, oh, phew, like, all right, I'm done. What I didn't realize, that same fear was waiting for me up at the next level. Like, hi. I'm like, I did not know that. Like, I was like, huh, you're going to be with me for the rest of my life? Well, yeah, but you'll get better dealing with me. I'm like, well, I thought I left you at like aisle, back 550 miles ago. Like, no, we're in it. We're in it to the end, kid. And that's when I learned to stop resisting things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that. What's it called? The black dog, is it, or something like that? The method, where obviously you're tiny, the dog's huge, and obviously the dog's called. I think it's like depression or anxiety. I'm
Okay,
sure
yeah,
you call it. And then the more you're down and depressed, the bigger it gets, the smaller you get. But as soon as you think, I'm not doing this anymore, I want to live my life. And as soon as you start showing positivity, you're getting bigger, the dog's getting smaller.
Yeah, okay. I've never heard it. I've heard which dog are you going to feed, which wolf, but that's a great analogy, though. I like that.
You know, I'll try and find it on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'll share it.
Fear does not go away. The first time that I wrote a chapter
Wow.
in a book and I got the chapter done and I was ready and it was going to be published, right? And people were going to read it like in a paperback book. And then I found out it was going on to Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, back that truck up, man. Like it can't go on Kindle. Everybody is going to read it. And the lady who was putting together the anthology, she's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, take it off. She's like, it's gone. It's not just about you. It's about all the other authors. That didn't help. And then I just settled into it and I accepted and I faced the fears. Who was I afraid that was going to read it? Who were the people? Either they read it or they don't. How they judge me or don't judge me, that's on them, not me. Yeah. Yeah, self-expression is a beautiful opportunity. Express yourself, right? And that's where you're talking about the fun and the joy, whatever it is that gives you that burst of energy. Do it.
Yeah, and I Nancy, you might know, and since you, I find the hardest thing for people who suffer from depression, anxiety, or addiction, like when they're coming out of it, is allowing themselves to show up to peace and joy before profit, before work, whatever work is. I don't know if it's the culture, like if it's just a human thing, culture thing, but in the States, we call it like the middle class values, working values, because we were taught to work hard. We have a great, work ethic. You work hard, you'll get far. And in the States culture, like the Europeans and everyone thinks we're like, you're crazy. You guys work good. Like you ever take time off? Like we're very proud of that, but the rest of the world goes like, holiday. But people who are sensitive, right, or waking up, stress is a big thing in the States. Anxiety is a big thing in the States. COVID made everyone, feel isolated, and, depression has gone off the roof. And in those places, it's so hard to choose ourselves, right? To choose I'm not talking about escapism, because escape. I'm talking about like 2-year-old, 4-year-old sitting in the sandbox, playing with themselves, imagining they're whoever they want to be, or sharing time with friends, like you said, Nancy, sitting in the garden together, having lunch. It feels in the beginning so hard, like we don't deserve it, or we have to earn it, or we have to get something done before we're allowed to have that. When you learn to flip that,
Yep.
and realize like the sky is not going to rip apart, the fabric of reality is not going to disintegrate. It just makes it so much freaking easier. I can't.
Reverse generation, right? Like you reverse generate. If you want peace,
yes, you have to revert. Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah, which is, for me, like I never did math well. Geometry was like an interesting time. But yes, it's like any engineers, you guys can so do this, or women, you can do this. Like if your brain thinks that way. Military people, I'm the least military like agility person ever, but I love the philosophy of we begin as we mean to go. Mm-hmm. Military mind is different than other minds, but the basic thing is we begin at the end. We begin at the end. So that's what I love about energy management. It's just feeling it. Feel the end. Feel where you want to be.
Yeah, well, I found the video. I found it.
Good. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Do you share it in your
I'll do that now. Yeah, I'll share it now. I can share the screen.
Because I think that's a great, Adam, what I love about that is it's a great analogy. It makes me, I don't know how our audience, but that's a great visual. Like what you described in the story.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Here you go.
I had a black dog. His name was Depression. Whenever the black dog made an appearance, I felt empty and life just seemed to slow down. It surprised me with a very rare occasion. The black dog may look you like contact with the black dog required superhuman strength. At social occasions, he'd sniff out what confidence I had and chase it away. My biggest fear was being found out. I worried that people would judge me. Because of the shame and stigma of the black dog, I was constantly be found. So I invested vast amounts of energy into covering him up. Keeping up an emotional lie is exhausting. Black dog could make me think and say negative things. He could make me irritable and difficult to be around. He would take my love and bury my intimacy. He loved nothing more than to wake me up with highly repetitive and negative thinking. He also reminded me that having a black dog in your life isn't so much about down, it's about being. As I got the black dog, and he started hanging around all the time. I'd chase him off with whatever I thought might send him running. But more often than not, he'd come out on top. Going down became easier than getting up again. So I became rather good at self-medication, which never really helped. Eventually, I felt totally isolated from everything and everyone. The black dog had finally succeeded in hijacking my life. When you lose all joy in life, you can begin to question what the point of it is. Thankfully, this was the time that I sought professional help. This was my first step towards recovery and a major turning point in my life. I learned that it doesn't matter who you are. The black dog affects millions and millions of people. It is an equal opportunity mongrel. I also learned that there was no silver bullet or magic pill. Medication can help some, and others might need a different approach altogether. I also learned that being emotionally genuine and authentic to those who are close to you can be an absolute game changer. Most importantly, I learned not to be afraid of the black dog, and I taught him a few new tricks of my own. The more tired and stressed you are, the louder he barks. So it's important to learn how to quiet your mind. It's been clinically proven that regular exercise can be as effective for treating mild to moderate depression as antidepressants. So go for a walk or a run and leave the muck behind. Keep a mood journal. Getting your thoughts on paper can be cathartic and often insightful. Also keep the thing you have to be great. That no matter how take the step. If you're in difficulty, never be afraid to ask for help. There is absolutely no shame in doing so. The only shame is
That is awesome. Please put the link in the comments if you can later on, Adam. That's just such a great video. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great resource. That's a very nice way of reframing what depression is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll do
And
that
like you said earlier,
I'll do that.
Depression is different for every single one of
us. It is. And I found it was my teacher. It wasn't my enemy. It was telling me, you're going the wrong way. I need to stop you. You're not listening. You're going to sit your ass down and learn something. Like, you got to just sit here until you get a clue. So so that's really good. And I like the way it said something. Everyone needs something different, because not everything helps the same person.
Or a different combination, right? A bit of this, a bit of that.
Well, you find, and you need community, because like the one thing isn't always it. Richard is kind of jumping in, and he said, "Congratulations, Richard. I don't know how to do the chat thing. Sorry, but I want to say I'm glad that your dog is medium right now, and that you're working on shrinking it." And yes, mindfulness. So many of my clients and friends, they love their outdoor people. So the woods, I love trees. I'm not just saying I'm not a hiker, but I love the trees. Yeah.
Well, and with me being here up in Canada, I love helping people manage the different seasons. Because when, like in Edmonton in the wintertime, it gets like minus 35. It's just disgusting. So finding ways to adapt to something in nature, surrendering into a bath is a beautiful way to help manage your personal energy. Having a shower in the morning and spending 5 more minutes.
Yes.
Just those little things. Drink more water. My coach is always at me about the water.
What I do when it comes to the showers is, obviously I have a hot shower, but then the last 3 minutes or so I put it on cold.
That has health, Adam. That has health benefits too. Oh my God.
It does.
It does. I can't. It's not fun. Well, it's not with my neck injuries. Like, no, but that does. But the water, Nancy, you probably follow the yoga practice. The yogis talk about this.
I'm a yogi.
There's just being in the water, wash it energetically. Resets. There's a huge thing about that.
You can put crystals in the bathtub. You can use essential oils in the bathtub. You can use fire. You can smudge. You can write a letter and burn it. That's one of the greatest steps in AA. When you're coming to
poison pen letter. We call it the poison pen.
Because sometimes that conversation cannot be presented to other people without causing harm to yourself.
Right.
burning it.
Yeah, another method I've come across is I actually did it with Kerry as well, where what was it? Where you get a piece of paper, you write the person that's done you wrong on that in felt tip, you scrunch it up how you want, put it in a glass of water, wait 5 minutes, open it back up, and the name's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
I thought I'd give that a try.
I like that one. There's lots of good opportunities.
Yeah.
There are. Surround yourself with positive people. Find a mentor. Seek an expert. We don't do it alone. None of us do.
No. And one of the things that like I say to my clients in business, but like like why I talk about building through relationships, many reasons, but even when you're struggling, if you're feeling really low, remember, like tattoo it on your wrists backwards in invisible ink that only you can see if you have to, that you're always one conversation away from whatever you need. I think that the hardest thing about depression, or the most insidious, and I tend to think of depression as a friend. I've learned not to villainize it, but the dark side of it is that you think you're the only one. You think the problem isn't solvable, or that you're beyond whatever solution you think is available. And that's not true. That's not true. And if you're thinking that, or you're feeling that, you have to share it with somebody. Even if it's to say, I need you to know I'm not okay, so I don't do something that's not gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, because it's when you feel like you have no options, you get lost in the darkness.
Well, that's where the impossible, when you look at the word impossible and you take an apostrophe and insert it between the letters I and M and a space between M and P, you become I'm possible. Sometimes you need someone to help you find that space.
Yes. And there's no harm in that.
No.
And all the successful people will tell you they didn't get there by themselves. They all like leveraged each other.
Oh God.
Each other's gifts, opportunities, whatever.
Yeah,
So
it is.
Coaches
Yeah,
have
it's all in
coaches.
the-
Energy healers
it's
have
all in the
energy
words, isn't
healers.
it?
Doctors have doctors. Doctors have doctors. Surgeons don't operate on themselves.
And also, like, to be the disruptor of the group, and it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have problems. We're gonna live our whole life. The only time we're not gonna have a problem is when we're dead. And maybe, who knows, maybe there'll be new problems on the other side. So
Just don't continue them.
Well, learn to. I think what is it, Doctor? I don't know about you. Do you guys? Sometimes the universe talks to me through movies. Like I make jokes like you, Adam. I use my humor because it's just like that's all I had at one point. But I think it's a divine gift that I've been given to. I'm my dad's child. He always always had humor. The universe talks to me through the movies. Like Noah got the ark. Moses got the burning bush, Teresa got the rose. I'm like, I need something that's just, like mine. So, and I loved movies. I was the first generation of Sesame Street, the telephone, the TV raised us, right? So Doctor Strange was on, Doctor Strange, and that was like that movie was like, oh, like, I know that's my cue. Someone's talking to me. But there was something like saying about like, you don't like your demons or something. You don't outrun your demons. You learn to live above them. Yes. Something like that. And I think I got it from Doctor Strange. But like,
maybe
whatever we're dealing with, like that we think we have to get rid of or has to be changed, I've come to know, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Our relationship with it might need to change. Our thoughts about it might need to change. But the only thing we can change is ourselves. And that, when I realized that, because I think for me, my depression persisted, not because of the event, although it was dramatic and traumatic, and I don't wish it upon my worst enemy. It was the thought that I had to fix it, that the event was unacceptable. Like it couldn't be there. We don't do that. Like when I hear my old, like, we don't do that. We don't have that, whatever. And my genie was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. Like, if that's that really is impossible. And my brain just could not compute that. When I realized I didn't have to change it to be okay, when I realized I could still be me, after the event, when I learned beliefs, training your brain, that's how I really learned how to like this whole thing about training our brain and managing our energy and managing our thoughts, even though we got to go through grief, we got to suffer with addiction, withdrawals of addiction and all that. It gave me footing that I didn't have. Right. It gave me the confidence to take the help that I was being offered, work with the tools that it was being offered. And I didn't, it was a lot of work, don't get me wrong, it still is, but I didn't feel so victimized by my circumstance. They seem to get they seem to get downgraded to like, okay, I can deal with this. I don't like it. I don't really wish, but I could deal. I could deal with it.
Absolutely.
One of the television shows. My last comment: when you look at modern television, one of the things that so many of us have seen is Survivor, or Naked and Afraid.
Yes.
In this environment where you
all
your clothes are gone, you're naked.
Yes.
And the resources that you have within you,
you learn
that you're given,
yeah,
allow you to survive. And some days surviving is enough.
Isn't that? Yes, it is. Showing up isn't sometimes showing up, and you don't feel you're surviving. Yeah. Like just show up.
Show up.
Just show up.
I was educating my kids on this, on surviving earlier, because I'm like, do you actually know that, like, not all trees, but some trees, you can actually eat the bark, and obviously, like some parts of the tree as well, you can use as medicine, like if you've got cuts or something like that. That's a survival instinct. They didn't know about it. They didn't. I'm like, wow.
Which question? Adam, did you know? No, did you know every medicine that we have made as human beings come from nature? Everything is all derived, or it's a synthetic version of what is found in nature. Yeah, we're not taught. That's old. Well, that's old school medicine, Adam. Yes, and there's
Kim, I have to share because the other week Nancy actually saved my life. She saved my life because I was.
What were you going to ingest? And I'm like, no, don't put that in water and drink it.
Remember what it was.
And it wasn't. Seemingly, it wasn't something that would have been toxic.
Yeah.
And if you had ingested it, there would have been a problem. Yeah.
Wasn't
I
hemlock,
wouldn't be here today.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an essential oil that you were going to put in water. Can't remember which essential.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah, don't drink that.
Oh.
No.
What made you want to drink eucalyptus?
You're chesty. Yeah, a chest.
Oh God, that's a paste, dude.
I was chesty. Yeah.
Eucalyptus you can dilute. And put on the outside of the body.
Yes.
I'm all about dilution. Dilute.
Yes.
Dilute. Yeah, dilute. Yeah. Okay. And just the carrier oil alone, if you want to.
Yes.
Castor oil externally, hemp oil externally, almond oil externally. Stick with external.
I'm okay now. I'm okay today.
Thank God you have. Thank God you have Adam. Thank God you have Nancy as like phone a friend. That's so good.
Okay, but I gotta bust a move. I got a pedicure and a lunch date. So thank you so much. This was fabulous. I look forward to connecting with you again.
Yes,
Kim, it was wonderful.
Well, we're wrapping up anyway. Yeah, well, we're wrapping up anyway. So quickly, finally, where can people find you, Kim?
You can find me on Facebook. That's the best place to come find me. I'm everywhere. I'm LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. But you want to come get to know me, come get to know me on LinkedIn. You'll see me with my little lamp. and you can connect with me. And you're welcome into my community. I've got resources. Even if you never need me, you probably need to hang out with somebody I know. So you are welcome to come find me.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant. Right. Please do subscribe, everyone, to whatever channel you're streaming on. Next week,
What do we
we're on
have
at a
next
later
week?
time
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock. Oh,
What's next
we've
week?
got the big one. We've got the big one where there's going to be 10 of us on camera. So that's going to be a big one where we're going to be discussing mental health in schools for undiagnosed children. So we're going to be talking about the school system. So I'll need to be careful there.
are you gonna need a bleeping? You need a producer to bleep you?
Pretty much.
Okay.
We'll work through it. Always do. Okay,
Bye,
thanks,
guys.
guys.
I'll see you all later, and we'll see you next week.